Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of Psychology of Play. This is my discussion post about our quest this week. I know she's coming in a little late. She's going to be a little rough. It's been a doozy of a week, but let's see what we can do with it here. I'd like to start with the quest that I chose. The quests I chose were quest 3, the user guide to me, and then quest 4, the play a game, collaboration with classmates. So let's just go ahead and roll into my quest this week. We'll start with quest 4, play a game collaboration with a teammate. This week I was able to connect with my classmate Michael and him. Uh, so let's go ahead and start off with the quest here. Quest 4 is what we'll start with. So let's just go ahead and get things rolling here with the quests. My first quest I want to talk about is quest 4, the play a game collaboration with a classmate. I was able to connect with Michael on his Discord server, which was fun. I've never used Discord before this week, so that was fun to learn. And it's a neat little tool, actually, that I was pretty impressed. Um, but his brother and him and I were able to connect on Fortnite, and we played the Zero Build Trios. Um, now, I don't play online gaming much. I'm pretty shy uh, meeting new people like that, especially when it's not face to face. I feel awkward. And so it was really cool to be able to connect with a couple people and get to talk to Michael a little bit first on the Discord, made it a lot more comfortable for me. Um, but it was a lot of fun. We played, I think it was like 3 or 4 hours, got some good rounds in, and had a great time. I'm going to bring up some screenshots of that here in a moment. Um, but we were able to connect together, and I feel like they did have to carry me a bit at first. I started to get it by the end of it there, but it was definitely a growing experience as far as my gaming skills and my gaming, life goes. Um, but it was really rewarding, and I had a lot of fun. It was, kind of, we had to kind of collaborate things and coordinate times, which was kind of rough because it's been a weird week for me. Um, but and then they were really chill. Kind of helped guide me through, kind of how to get things rolling, and give me some pointers and some tips on how to get certain things done and use different equipment and stuff. And by the end of it, I felt like I was doing pretty good there. Not as well as them, but doing pretty good and holding my own. Uh, and it was just fantastic. I had a great time. It was definitely play. It was just sitting there playing the game to play the game. We got to talk about school and stuff a bit. We BS'd back and forth, and um, it was a great collaboration. Honestly, I know it was just video games. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's just playing a game," but I think it went pretty well. It could have been a whole lot, worse. I think we had a good time, and that things went nice and smooth. So I would have to say that, as far as quests go and as projects go, I've had way worse in my life, and I think that it went really, really well. Um, there was definitely a lot of the aspects of what we've learned in the last few weeks about what play is, and what qualifies as joy and things like that. That came to mind while I was playing a lot of the lessons, and it was just a pretty cool little project and collaboration overall. And now moving on to the second quest, which was actually quest 3, the user guide to me. This is the one that I really struggled with this week. Every week I try to pick something that'll be fairly easy, that I think will be fairly easy, but still provide me with a challenge and an experience that'll help me grow. But then on the other side of the coin, I like to pick something that I think is going to be more difficult, that's going to require more focus and more attention, and more introspection and growth. Really, the whole point of this is to learn how to grow and how to play, and help maintain a healthy state of mind to help you maintain a healthy state of life. Um, and so this week I chose the user guide to me because I thought it would really like push me out of my comfort zone in some aspects, really make me look at kind of what I've done with my life, and what that has turned me into, as far as what kind of person am I, what kind of co-worker am I, do I work well with others? Do I lead others well? Do I follow well? Um, you know, a lot of just a lot of different aspects that I honestly really didn't expect to come up at first, but as I was trying to, make this short little video about myself and what I'm capable of, and what kind of environments I work best in and what kind of people I work best with. um, it really took me through, I mean, honestly, it took me through really 20 years of my life, the really formative years when you start to collaborate in school, working on projects, friendships start to become, more powerful, stronger bonds, and then working through life where you start working with complete strangers, where you're learning new skills, you're out on your own as an adult and you're trying to figure things out. All of this stuff really affects who you are and who you become, and everything that's going to happen to you tomorrow is going to alter that even more. And so it's this really, it was a lot more in-depth than I really honestly thought it was going to be, even though I went into it expecting it to be the more difficult project. um in the end, I think I turned out something pretty honest. There was a lot of questions that I asked myself that came up in the reading that I'm not really sure I had an answer to yet, or really had a solid idea of, the answer behind it. So it's kind of rough. It I'm sure leaves some things out, but it's something I'll continue to work on. It's definitely a project that I'm going to carry with me, in my portfolio and beyond school. Even I think it's a fantastic idea. I think it's a wonderful way to try and smooth out relations at work between new projects, between new co-workers and things like that, different teams, and even in your own life with your personal relationships and stuff. If you know what it is you want people to know about you, then even without handing them your user guide, so to speak, you can convey those things and you can articulate them to them properly. And so I think it's really an important step that we should all take, even if we don't build a user guide. To me, I think it's worth the time to sit down and really try to think about what makes you tick as a person and as an employee or as an employer, or even just as a coworker or a friend, um, and even in very personal relationships like with significant others or with very close friends and family members. Really understanding what makes you work can help you control how you react to things and help you to build strong relationships with the right people, whether that be business or play or, personal. It all comes down to really knowing yourself before you can get to know others. And this project really opened up my eyes to a few new things, and new ways of looking at things. The reading had a lot of very useful information in it. I went on to listen to a few of the podcasts, the psychology podcasts, which also shed new light and new ideas and perspectives on it. So, um, I don't know that the user guide to me was really something that, I was expecting from a class called Psychology of Play, but it was definitely a very rewarding process, and it was definitely a great time for growth. Like, I learned a lot about myself that I hadn't noticed before, like in different aspects. Like, this class keeps doing that to me. I keep learning new ways to analyze and new points of view and new information about how this works and about how that works. And every week it seems like I discover new things about myself, or rediscover things about myself that I've lost. And that it's been a wild ride. It's been a crazy ride. I'm really looking forward to next week, and I'm really looking forward to what the final projects are gonna bring out in me this time. Now, moving on to the rest of the discussion this week. Um, it's always hard for me to choose two concepts that really stuck with me, because a lot of times all the concepts kind of float around in my head all week long. Uh, but this week, the two that I picked out that I think really stuck with me the most was intrinsic and extrinsic motivations or motivators, and the idea of grit. So with the intrinsic extrinsic motivation, to me it just kind of seemed like a dressed up name for like internal and external stimulants. Like, it seemed to kind of make more sense to me when I read it that way. Uh, and I say that just because no matter, if they're internal or external, if it's not powerful enough reward, you're not going to be motivated. You're not going to be stimulated to get up and move and to do what you need to do. You're not going to be driven by it, and a motivator or a stimulant, to me, it seems to be, in this context at least, basically interchangeable. Um, so I guess, being able to identify them better, I did a lot of reading on it and started looking at how I motivate myself and or what motivates me. Um, and there's some stuff that it's like I have no internal desire for it, like, my career, moving on with music production and learning all the different skills and the aspects of that, and other things in the idea of personal growth. I have no problem generally motivating for those from within. The action themselves is its own reward. I love what I get out of learning and what I get out of pushing myself. But when it comes to things like, doing the dishes or doing laundry, staying organized in life. Like, I hate organizing things. I really do. It totally goes against the chaos that ADHD has turned my mind into. Uh, it's it, it's stuff like that that I have to look for an external, an extrinsic motivator or an external stimulation. Um, and that comes in many different forms. I've found that rewarding myself with candy like a kid sometimes works really well. I mean, I love myself some candy. Uh, I like video games, and sometimes I'll get a little too lost into them. So I will, I'll reward myself with video game time. It's like, okay, I have to go do my chores, and then I can play games for an hour or so, and then I can get up and work on some more chores. It keeps me from getting sucked into the, less productive aspects of my life. But it doesn't mean I don't take time for play. If I've gotten, everything done, then I take all the extra play time I want, or sometimes I'll look for extra projects that were, more on the fun side, things that I have internal or intrinsic motivation for. Um, you know, this concept really kind of stuck with me just because it's something I definitely do in my life. It's something that, even though I didn't really have a name for it, it was something that I was already working on, trying to establish good habits, break bad habits, which is a lot harder than it sounds. Especially as you get older, the old dog, new trick thing. You've just been doing it for so long. It can be really, really hard to break these neural pathways and rewrite new ones. But it's something we keep trucking at. We're all in this together. We're all growing. So that one really stuck with me, and the concept of pushing through different problems and different roadblocks, so to speak, really tied it in with the grit to me because who doesn't, especially as a male, growing up, you always hear about the man's man, and you read the books, books about knights and then cowboys and guys that just wouldn't quit. To be a gritty person is not is not as negative as it sounds. Like, the word grit itself kind of sounds dirty and grungy, because you think of like gritty like sand, but to be a gritty person and to be a person that can just drive themselves forward is an incredibly powerful thing. Um, and it is definitely something that I work on all the time. I am much more motivated in some aspects than I am in others. If it's the right thing, I mean, I'll see that thing through until it puts me in the dirt or until I achieve the result that I want. But there's other things where there's no real intrinsic motivation, I guess. And so the grit for me just isn't there. It doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be done. It just means that I'm like, nah, I don't really want to mess with that. And so finding that grit, that self discipline to push forward and to push through, even when I don't want to do it, is really challenging. And it's definitely something I've been working on in my life for a while now, quite some time. And I've made a lot of progress. But the reading that I did this week and some of the supplemental reading that I found in uh, exploring other aspects of grit um, has really pushed the bounds of what I think is possible and what I am capable of doing. I don't have any quit in me, so to speak. Like, if it's something that needs to be done or I want to be done, it gets done. but there's a lot of things that kind of float around the edge of that gray, the gray area where I really should be pushing myself more in them instead of just kind of skating by. And so the lesson I've learned from this is I'm gonna continue to push for personal grit growth. PGG, yeah. Um, and really try to push myself in those smaller aspects. It's not like it'll be a lot of effort. They're just small things. So it's just a little bit here and a little bit there, and I can bring my overall grit score up from a 3.8 to maybe someday I can have me a nice 5.0, something real strong, real gritty and real strong, something to push me forward no matter what the challenge or what the task may be. I'll always be able to reach inside for that self-discipline and apply all of my skills and just knock it out of the park. So in the end, applying everything that I've learned this week and everything that I've learned in the previous 2 weeks, um, this wealth of information and knowledge has given me the tools for growth that are going to help me clarify exactly why I do what I do and where those actions are taking me. It's showcased to me a bunch of concepts that will be able to help others work more cohesively, not only with myself but all of their peers. And it'll allow for growth across an entire team instead of just for a specific individual. Um, Skills like these, I realize, they're gonna have the kind of returns that are gonna carry with me through the rest of my career and then through the rest of my life after that until the day that it's all over. There's going to be benefit coming from the skills that I've actually learned just right here in these last few weeks. Um, and so, you know, it's 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 been it's been a good ride. These skills, I think, are quite important. They're skills that I would have never really learned otherwise, and really would have never learned the importance of them to begin with. So I want to thank you guys for all kind of sticking in there and hanging on. Um, Thanks for listening this week, and you guys have a wonderful day.